Alright, it's Faye Goodwin, and eventually we will, but let's talk Spider-Man Far From Home, my review, long overdue review. This film, many of my complaints about it are the same as they were with the first film, Spider-Man Homecoming. Uh, they seem to double down on everything that they were doing in the first, including the whole Peter Parker relying on Stark Tech, you know, Iron Man overshadowing the film, casting a large shadow over the film, and, coming off as the mentor to Peter instead of Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben, again, being skirted around and ignored, and Spider Man getting another kind of mentor buddy buddy character in here, which is Mysterio. But these movies are so far off from what Spider Man is. Now, I will give it credit to say that casting Jake Gyllenhaal, which I don't know if those were just rumors where he was going to replace Tobey Maguire at some point around Spider Man 2, or if that was real. But so it's cool to have him here as Mysterio, and his performance is top notch. The highlight of these films seems to be the villain. With the first one, you had Michael Keaton playing the Vulture, strongest performance of the film. Here you have Jake Gyllenhaal playing Mysterio, strongest performance of the film. I realize this review is long overdue as I took a long absence from my YouTube channel, but here it is. I'm finally here with this review, and if you've seen my first one, you know how this is going to go. I'm not fond of the supporting cast in this film. Diversity for the sake of diversity. It's such an odd cast to have around Spider-Man, Peter Parker, all these characters that don't really make sense. You have the fake Mary Jane, the Michelle Jones, who undermines it just undermines any future hope for bringing in the real iconic Mary Jane that is Spider-Man's love interest. It undermines it completely because you can't just bring her in like, oh, this is Mary Jane. Oh, he's thinking of the other Mary Jane the whole time. It derails everything. So, aside from that, there are some positives in this movie. Like I said, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, wonderful performance, did a great job. Like, has you really buy into his character, and uh, there's Nick Fury in this film. There are some spy-like escapades, and it kind of gives you that '90s feel of the Spider-Man cartoon when Nick Fury was white before he was race changed to Samuel Jackson, because Samuel Jackson's a race. That's that. No, it does give you a feel for like that '90s animated series when Spider-Man would team up with Nick Fury a lot. But here in this movie, like, they wrap up everything from Endgame really tightly and neatly in the first act. But this movie is just so imbalanced. You have so many joke, all these awkward jokes that don't really work for me and fell hard, and then you're trying to combine it with this overheated tension that everything's at stake, and there's the shadow of Tony Stark hanging over this film, and it it improperly tries to balance something that's incredibly serious and then something that's just a romantic comedy. And at their end game, it just seems so off coming out of that into this. Of course, things do have to lighten up. They can't all be in-game stakes, but still, this film is just, I find it messy. I find it sloppy. I find Peter Parker whiny. I just want to give up and be with MJ. And I don't want to do that. I just want to enjoy my vacation. And it's just a strange film. And Disney does not know how to handle Spider-Man. They don't understand keeping the secret identity intact. They don't understand, where all the drama and complications come for with that makes Spider-Man so interesting. The fact that, you know, he's always got to sacrifice in his personal life, blow off people to go be the hero, and he can't tell them that, oh, he's not just being a jerk or flaky. He's got to go save lives. He can't tell them that because he'd be putting them at risk, exposing them to who he is. But in these movies, everybody just knows who Spider-Man is. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. They constantly bring the cat out of the bag. And it's just really weird. Again, we have no New York imagery, really strong, iconic Spider-Man scenes with Spider-Man swinging around New York or anything because, of course, he's in vacation overseas. It's a really strange, like, anti-American version of Spider-Man. Uh, and certain parts of the film drag on too long. You have the Mysterio playing the buddy cop slash mentor because the Spider-Man needs a mentor all the time because he's like a little whiny kid that seemed like a seasoned veteran when he was first introduced in Civil War, but just can't get it together. Has to rely on Stark Tech and everything, and it's just. And the way they drag out the Mysterio thing too long, where he's trying to be the good guy, he's got you convinced that he's the good guy, and then just goes like from 0 to 10. He's killing his own people, and he does a great job as Mysterio. I'll give you that. And there are some pretty good action scenes in here, some interesting ones. There are some cameos too. In relation to the Tobey Maguire movies, which the Tobey Maguire movies were absolutely fantastic, short of the third one. But this does not feel. It's not Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Man. This is just like some odd romantic comedy film. And it's really off-putting. I don't understand how it made that much money, but I don't understand how Captain Marvel made that much money. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to be inflating how much they made at the box office, but this, I really have to give it a 4 out of 10. I mean, the third act, they go into some really plot-convenient nonsense that's just like, oh, well, that makes everything easy. Just the way they resolve the whole third act, there's just so many things I just cannot get on board with. I'm not going to like this Spider-Man at all. At any point in time, I might as well just give up doing reviews on these movies because they don't work for me. They're no good. I don't understand how people like them. A young Aunt May and just the cast, uh, but when I heard that Sony was pulling their Spider-Man out, I was like, oh yeah, that's the best idea because Sony will probably do a better job than Disney has because at least Sony, to some extent, does understand the character Spider-Man. Disney doesn't seem to understand how to operate with the Spider-Man character. I get that this Spider-Man's supposed to be a young kid and all that, and he hasn't got there, but we're 5 movies into this Spider-Man character. He's been in 5 films, and he is worse than he was in the first one. Yeah, I just can't get on board with it. I'd give this film a straight up 3 out of 10. I don't even think it deserves that. Uh, I don't understand how people like this one. But, to each their own. You can agree, disagree. But if you like what I'm saying, if you agree with anything, like if you're like me against the race changing of characters and against the whole. This is just like this is like a reverse Spider-Man or something. Some nonsense. It's nonsense. This is just, Disney just needs to figure this out or stop. But with the whole pandemic and stuff, maybe they won't get a chance to do anything more with this Spider-Man, and maybe Sony really will take this Spider-Man and stop it right here. I don't know all the details of that stuff. But if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, share it, check out my social justice subscribe star parody if you want to support my channel. I'm not monetized, probably never will be, because YouTube, you have to censor yourself to appeal to the whole YouTube thing, and I'm just not going to censor myself and suppress my speech to appeal to YouTube. So I'll probably never be monetized, but you can support my channel through my subscribe star link below. Check it out. This is Fate Goodwin saying eventually we will, but with this one we didn't. So stay awesome. Rock on.